Yeah. What you ask yourself, what is consciousness? Like, what kind of advantages does it play? Like, how does the brain really function? And you look at it like, well, we're taking in all this information, all this sensory, crazy stuff even going on right here, right now, as we talk in this studio right here.
People singing and screaming.
So what does consciousness allow us to do, essentially? Is it allows us to filter out this information and make sense out of it.
Decoding and interpreting.
So if you really look at things through this kind of, lens of evolution, it's like, obviously, we've experienced it on a pretty profound level. You can kind of trace it back to other vertebrates and see them having it in different forms or another. And obviously, extraterrestrials had a large role in the development of our consciousness into what it is today. But if you take this same theory of evolution, you also see that animals, vertebrates in specific, also are capable of forms of consciousness. And when you really look at things from a biological perspective, a lot of the lines start to blur. And so it's like,
if you're okay with pushing, walking over and killing one species, that just working your way up to, even killing your own species.
All humans are animals, but some animals are more human than others, essentially. And so we're born in these conditions. We're essentially overgrown apes. How do we take that and really apply it and find a higher purpose? And a part of that is recognizing that we can't continue to kill creatures the way that we have done for X amount of millennia. And look at the dodo bird. Who's the next dodo bird? You could say it's us. You could say it's humans. Maybe we're the next dodo bird.
The impact we have had on species on this planet is we don't realize it's not only are we killing creatures that don't need to be killed, because there's proof, us being vegan and many other people being vegan, there's proof that you don't need to put these animals or their milk for their babies into your body to survive. That's a primitive way of living that hasn't been necessary for like hundreds, if not 1,000 or thousands of years. And you're killing creatures that are conscious, that have the potential they have, although it may not be the same capacity we have to learn and expand. They're still on their own journeys, so to invade that, I personally find it karmatically, or it's stunting evolution or growth of progress of life on this planet in general. And what you're putting into your body half the time, unless you're hunting it, which I think is making you think that it's okay to... It's desensitizing you, first of all, versus if you're consuming these corpses out of a grocery store or a fast food place or even a nice restaurant. It's full of those drugs that Ryan was talking about earlier, and it's just the flavor of meat of death. And the only reason it tastes good is because it's got seasoning and it's cooked at a certain temperature, and it's its textures and stuff, which is easily replicated with lower forms of consciousness.
Harkens back to the kind of animal nature of man and the kind of violent history that we've had. And humans have been incredibly violent creatures.
Because we had to be at one point to survive, but it's not necessary now unless you're defending yourself.
Yeah, look at the 20th century. I mean, how many times did we head towards wholesale extinction? I mean, we had World War I, we had World War II, we had the Cold War, we had nuclear arms race. Yeah, it's like
all this death, all those, not to mention just the what do you call it, Saddam Hussein's fucking bombs of diseases and stuff, Ebola cocktails.
So basically, we're left with a couple of choices. We're left with enlightenment or extinction. And
It's only gotten extreme now because that's what we've led it up to be. We've abused many of our privileges. Can't even drink fucking water out of a river anymore because it's so full of plastic and oil and poison. Next, you have to pay more to buy regular food. The next thing they're gonna be trying to sell us our fucking oxygen. You want that?
Well, I mean, the question is, it's like, on what level are the elites from different civilizations around the globe cooperating with each other on this respect? I think if they weren't, we would have already seen
some sort of
Armageddon
mass fallout.
Almost, yeah.
So you think, through some of all this terrible manipulation and poisoning,
they
and
do
greed,
actually
that
sell
people
oxygen.
actually come together.
They do actually sell oxygen from Canada.
Oh
and China
man,
now.
that's terrible.
Well, I mean, look what the price. I mean, China's obviously developed, and obviously you look back in history, and the Henry Kissinger and the Nixon administration opening up China, and leading to a lot of the kind of deals and pacts that have developed China and what it is today, and there's been a lot of wealth created through that in China, a lot of cheap goods produced here for us to buy. But that's all had a price. I mean, China, you don't want to breathe the air there. You don't want to drink the water there. You don't want to eat the food there.
Fallout.
Yeah, and basically,
LA's rain is, I think, technically fallout, not just acid rain, but
well, you look at LA
nuclear.
though. That is true, but the pollution here at least is kind of
under control to a degree.
It's gone down a lot in the past 50 years from what it was mid 20th century.
Yeah, I've heard stories about people on mopeds having to wipe pure black soot off their face from just driving down the freeway, or they used to have like sirens going off.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't
to my
see across the street here in the 60s and 70s. Sometimes it was so smoggy. But essentially, I feel like what we've done is we've taken these means of production that have created this type of waste and just basically shipped it off over there. And so instead of us dealing with the repercussions of having the side effects, you could say, of capitalism,
we've given
they
them
do in
to
other
someone
countries.
else.
Yeah.
Which
So-
is going to ricochet back around to us.
Well, I think it's important for everybody to realize that you're not self-created, that your life has been made possible by the labor of many others. I mean, we had how many people make these phones?
Yeah.
The people who pick the food we eat, the people who make our furniture, the people who make our
Sweatshops.
clothes.
Low
you
to
know.
no wages. Yeah, that's been in my head since you brought that up at Amy's the other night about like having the epiphany that everything, like even your pants.
Yeah,
and
even the
everything,
truckers who drive around the goods, the people who were in the boat that shipped them over.
It's made in toxic ways by
Yeah,
people
and then the
living
people working
not
at the stores that
living
you buy it
miserable
at,
lives.
like the people working minimum wage jobs in this country too.
yeah.
That's
Which
another.
we've totally. That's been my whole. It's been our whole lives.
So everything's kind of interconnected in this respect, and so it really is important to kind of recognize this, and b, have gratitude that we're able to live in have some kind
Yeah.
of basic standard of living where we have the food we need.
Be thankful, grateful when you can. Try and cut out things that are damaging if it's weighing on your conscience. When you're conscious of it, showing that you're evolving to a degree. I know it's very difficult. I've had like friends like Israel
You mentioned my name.
call me a hypocrite for like being against some atrocities, but still like owning a phone or something that was essentially made by slavery. I mean, it's hard. It always starts hard when you look at stuff. A lot of people, I think, they don't want to face stuff like this, or they don't want to face being conscious of anything, because it requires a shift, and
Well, I think
seemingly going to be
perfection-
unstable. But once you start making the change, you become more aware, and you I don't know. I mean, I would never go back to like eating meat or like going to McDonald's or like spending my money at Walmart or something like that.
I think the thing is that perfection ethically is just like impossible to really obtain, and you just have to try to do the best you can. Yeah, you have to try to do the best you can, because it's like sometimes you look at the end of the day and you look at all the bugs on your windshield and you're like, fuck, I killed those bugs. I didn't even mean to kill those bugs.
Yeah,
or like,
but I mean, there's ways like thrift stores for clothes, so you're not funding buying.
You can do a lot. You can do a lot and
recycle, reuse stuff.
Like, I think a lot of
shit you don't need.
You just have to have a good intention and continue to put effort into that. I mean, even as a vegan, it's like, how many times have you accidentally eaten something that wasn't vegan? You know, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens, and it's fine as long as
it's not about trying. I mean, I guess it's kind of about trying to be as pure as you can be, but it's like not pointing.
Like, it's
not
effort.
As long as you make the initial like, I want to and not cause damage. I'm conscious, and I want to cause less damage.
Yeah, and you'll fall short, but it's fine, and you really just have to keep with it.
Once you start, you're already doing more than you were before. You're already clearing yourself more, like you're clearing your perspective. You're clearing your karma, your negative karma. You're starting to evolve as long as you try and you're aware and you're not lying to yourself. I think that's the biggest mistake anyone can do. That's how you remain trapped, not only by people in power above you, but you're remaining trapped to yourself if you can't be completely honest with yourself.
So basically, we're going to take this full circle, and it's like you have power over your own destiny. You have power over your own life. You have the ability to make better decisions and choices with your life. The first step starts with just awareness and being more aware of what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're saying, and really that's the first step to change, is just awareness, and it's beautiful, and there's all this knowledge out there to tap into, and we're all born into certain conditions, and we all have fucked up shit happen in our life that's beyond our control. But it's like, what do you do with it? Do you want to stay stuck in your caste, or do you want to transcend caste? Do you want to, do you want to be stuck as a manual laborer, or do you become an intellectual, a priest, or a holy person? It's really.
Don't let the world cripple you. Even if it cripples you, keep going. It's your life, your destiny, your future. I'm sure you have many lives to go. Stay strong.
And don't ever feel like you're broken. Sometimes I think people have the tendency to feel that there's something wrong with them, or they're broken, and the reality is having these feelings oftentimes are just self-evident to how whole you are and how human you are, and
Yeah, we have a tendency to be harsh on ourselves, like
and how beautiful that is.
We all go through pain. Life is a very painful thing, but the more you keep at it and the more aware of it you become, you know how to deal with these things, the clearer your perspective is, and the more liberated you can become. You don't have to fall victim to that. You don't have to feel like depression or misery is part of your personality or your identity. I know, like, that's how I used to be. I used to think that, like, being miserable and angry all the time was part of my identity. But once I reached my breaking point of that, and I started to open up more, you feel like you become more alive, and you're more of yourself than you were when you were suffering so much.
I think I'm almost out of time here.
All right, let's wrap things up. I'm gonna hit pause again.